Barlow and Mr. Clinton. Can't wait. Speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Barlow and can't wait to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whole day we are calling for Barlow and Clinton, can't wait. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton can't wait.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
And they would have gotten
Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Barlow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far. And every Guyanese will feel well. Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Barlow and Clinton can't wait. Paul and Conway, every day.
all the money they invest, 2.4 billion of our money. The money could have been invested someplace. They have to Good afternoon, students. Speaking out, exposing corruption, incompetence. Welcome to the Friday afternoon's episode of Speaking Out. Welcome. Hope you had a wonderful day. Hope you're looking forward to a fantastic weekend. Yeah, and as the theme song said, like and share, hit the notification bell, let them know that we're on. Welcome. Today is what? Friday the 16th day of January in the year 2026. Half of the month done already, you know. Half of the month, only the other day you were talking about Happy New Year, 1st of January. Today is the 16th. Half of the month is finished. Right? Half of the month. The month running like Houston Bolt, man. It moving at a pace. So welcome. Share the live, as it says, share the live, like, share, hit the notification button, and let them know that we are on. Let them know that we're on. We have so much to tell you this afternoon. So many things that pop up over the past 48 hours or so. Well, you know, we're going to come. We're going to adjust them, Antoine. We're going to adjust them. My colleague, CC, is in the studio, anxiously awaiting his turn to come and share knowledge with you. As we say, you can see me in the black and with the white trim. I say every Friday, I'll be wearing black. As I mourn the death of democracy in Guyana, right? That all kind of undemocratic, all kind of unconstitutional action and so on. So this is my way. And I invite you all. You got to say a word. You're going around, put on your black top. And that is what we're going to send the message. They can't say we're protesting with charges with treason and all that. We just wearing we black and we go another place and the message will get out there. The message will get out. So join me in this effort. Join me, Something Black, every Friday, right? And I'm going to be doing this for a long time to come until I am satisfied, until we are satisfied that the democratic processes are working, the constitutional processes are working in the way they were intended. So yeah, share. Let them know that we are on. And Friday, the 16th of January, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living. And, you know, we should never, ever take that for granted. And let me at the beginning, you know, yesterday, for those of you who have subscribed would have seen two videos posted. One dealt with the issue with this American Guyanese businessman who was charged with a cybercrime and had his passport to lodge his American passport. So I did that. And I did a next one with Senior Superintendent Caesar And there's one student who reached out. Might have seen last time, and complimented me for doing that, because the student said that it is good when you can have these topics, little topics alone in a program. We know that I used to do it before, but it is a little time consuming. It is a little time consuming, but I'm pledging to make sure that I do more of that, so that if you have a little 15 minutes, whatever, 20 minutes, you can look at a particular subject. Other than that, you have to go through the whole video, fast forward, and all of that, the whole episode to find it. But I'm going to try to break it down so that you can get to just whatever subject you want to see. So as I said, it's time consuming. A lot of these things, not easy, especially on this fast evolving social media. You have YouTube changing the style so frequently. The platform, StreamYard, thing changes and it catches you sometime off guard. Caught me yesterday, because now when you're ending the program, they got all sort of steps you have to go through. So I'm a fast learner, so I'm going to learn so that I can come and I can bring you what you need to know. So yes, so that is what we have. That is what we have. We have lots of stuff going on. So what we're going to do quickly, we're going to acknowledge those who came in early, and then we're going to move to the roll call, and then we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. So in terms of those who came in, we let me say this. Let me also thank the student who called me. And the reason I couldn't answer the call is because I was on the phone. He called me to tell me something was wrong with the scheduling. And then he said the program was scheduled for, he told me next 8 hours or so. I said, oh, something wrong. When I checked, I realized I made a mistake. And I scheduled for 11, and it's 11 p.m. So I had to go into the platform and correct it and schedule it for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, these mistakes are made. But I love it when students observe these things and they are responsive. They call and they let you know. So immediately I received the call. Well, I didn't get to answer the call, but he sent a message. And when I saw the message, I recognized immediately something may have gone wrong. When I checked, he was correct. This thing was scheduled for 11 o'clock tonight. So let me thank you again, student. Thank you. Thank you for the one who made a comment about specific subjects. And thank you for the student who advised me that something was wrong with the scheduling. I appreciate your attentiveness, your effort. All right. Now, when we went, when the gates were open at 4 o'clock this afternoon, Jakey, first man in. First man listed as being in. Then it was Lucius. After that, Wayne from the UK. Janella is here. Peter, Sean from upstate New York. Desiree, Bonita, Rawl, 11752 Simple. Fergus, Diane, Brian is here. Aubrey is here. Aubrey all the way from Canada. Kerry from somewhere in Guyana. Clifton from Paris. Then it was Clarence, Ivor, Ricky, Emerson, Vashti, then Aubrey, Joy. This is Joy, yeah. Then it was Felicia, Sandra, Anthony Bradshaw, Petersall and the East Bank, Nicola. Then it was Dexter, Clive, all the way from the UK. After Clive, it was Moses, then Gaston from Canada. They all came within the first minute of the program, the gate being open, the gates to the schoolyard being open, they all came in. And then when we opened the doors, it was that guy again. Edward is there. Then it was Joan from New Amsterdam, Raquel Jr. Then we have Colvis, Lorelli. Then after Lorelli, we had Joyce Prince. Then it was Rhonda from Denhamstel. Then it was Pam. She's a West Dem girl as well. And the list goes on and on and on. So welcome. Now let me go to the announcements. We're going to do the sad ones first. And then we're going to do the more pleasant announcements today. 672 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughan was shot and killed. Police Sergeant Alex Vaughan shot and killed on the 12th of March, 2024. We ain't hearing anything, but we're gonna keep talking about it. We are gonna keep talking about it. We can for the family for his relatives, for the policemen, right? We're going to keep reminding them that a police sergeant lost his life under what they claim to be tragic circumstances, and they're quiet. They aren't telling us nothing. They're not telling us anything. Now, let me go on. We told you about the death of Assistant Superintendent retired Orman Wintz. Saying the funeral will be on Wednesday coming, Wednesday, January the 21st. Viewing at the Merriman's Funeral Home from 9:30 to 10:30. Funeral service, Revival Temple Pentecostal Ministry, New Amsterdam. So the service is going to be in New Amsterdam. And they say a wake will be held at the Ex-Police Association, all Cowan Street, on Monday. So Monday night, there's going to be a wake at the Ex-Police Association Hall, Cowan Street. But Orman will be buried on Wednesday, the 21st. Right? So I guess, they didn't say, but they're going to be in New Amsterdam. Right? Town Cemetery. Then Joel funeral was today, Joel Waldron, 9789. That funeral took place today. And we told you about the death of a GDF warrant officer, female warrant officer, Maureen Skeet. And our viewing will be on Sunday, January the 18th from 2 to 5 at Caribbean Funeral Home, 1152 Nostrand Avenue, Brooklyn, 11235. Right? Funeral service in Guyana to be announced later. Then, today I learned last night, of the death of a countryman of mine, Dennis Grant. Old cricketers might remember Dennis Grant. They were the Grant brothers. They played for GSC, Cricket for Guyana Sports Club. I don't think they have a Guyana Sports Club any longer. I think that was the same club that Colin Croft played for, Guyana Sports Club. The ground was on Thomas Road there. So Dennis died, and he will be buried, or was buried, in Texas today. And Dennis' father, Mr. Griffith Grant, was a headmaster at the school. He was a beat man. We lived on the same road, Kwamina Road. They were further up. Dennis' brother, he and his brothers, Orly, Colin, and all of them. His lone sister, teacher Paulette. Well, Dennis was buried. And we all knew them. People like Carrie playing cricket, the older guys would know them because they had a unique features. All the boys had an extra finger. All the father had an extra finger, and all the boys had an extra finger. So Dennis was buried, or will be buried, this afternoon. Then I told you too about the death BV people, Trevor Eastman. The funeral will be on Tuesday, the 21st. Funeral service at St. Mary's the Virgin. We used to call it, when we grew up, English Church. So English Church is right up on the road next to the cemetery there on Canterbury Walk. So Trevor Eastman on the 21st from 2 p.m. And they say a wake will be held at his residence Sunday night. His residence right on Kwamina Road, not too far from me, in the Gulf. He's in the Gulf in Kwamina Road there. So we have that. And then today, I learned of the death of Donald Sinclair. Died yesterday, they're saying. Donald Sinclair, he was known in the tourism industry. He was an educator and a bodybuilder. So Donald died yesterday, Tuesday, at the age of 73. Right? 73. So yes, those are the sad announcements that I have to make. And let me move on to the more pleasant ones. Today is the birth anniversary of retired Superintendent Jairam Ramlakan. But 13-8 something, 13-8-31 or something like that was his number. Remember, he was there when I went to West Demerara in 1993. He was one of the good subordinate officers of the station. I think he was a corporal then. So today he is celebrating his birth anniversary. But before we go on with more birthdays, I should have expressed condolences to the relatives and friends of those persons who have passed, and pray that the Lord give you the strength to go through this difficult time. Also celebrating a birth anniversary today is a student, a countryman of mine, Claude Mingo. Claude Mingo, Tongi celebrating a birth anniversary today. Then we have belated birthday anniversary going out to Senior Superintendent Brian Lowenfield, the officer in charge of the Tactical Services Unit at the place where I grew up. Tactical Services Unit. Brian, I heard some bad things going on there, but you gotta watch it. I heard some bad things going on at the TSU. You gotta be careful. Yes, Sean. Donald Sinclair lectured at the training school as well. Right, I should have mentioned that. And then in terms of advanced birthday greetings, advanced birthday greetings are going out to retired Senior Superintendent Kenwin Stuggy Hope, 95, 97. Hope is going to be celebrating a birth anniversary on Sunday. So again, birthday greetings to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future. Right? Somebody saying it, Donald Sinclair was also a teacher. Right, yes, he was. Right, he was a teacher as well. Now, before I bring in CC, let me tell you, the Under-19 World Cup started in Zimbabwe, I think, hosting. West Indies played their first match yesterday against Tanzania, however it is pronounced, and they won. They won by 5 wickets, so they're off to a good start. I didn't get to see the scores with the other matches today. So let's pray for the youths, big them up, because you remember it was in 2016, 10 years ago, that the West Indies won the Under-19 World Cup for the first time under the captaincy of Shimron Etimaya. People like Alzari Joseph, Kimo Paul, and all those people were in that team. I was there with them in Bangladesh. So I have fond memories of that tour with those youngsters. Very enthusiastic bunch, managed to win. I think to me, the most enthusiastic always was Kimo Paul. Full of energy. Let me tell you all this. These things are not generally known, you know. Kimo had injuries, and they patch him up for the finals, right? Get patch up. The physio, really patch you up for the finals with an understanding that he will go and that he will not bowl. He could play as a batsman, right? Because India batted first. We played against India. Buddy, and then the next thing you know, you're surprised to see Kimo take the ball at some stage of the other partnership. Kimo take the ball and bowl and think he pick up 3 wickets in the final. Then go in and bat and make runs and so on. So you had a lot of youngsters in that team who came through. Kimo Paul, as I've said, Shemra Zamaya, Zari Joseph, Shkimar Older, the now wicket keeper in the West Indies white ball team. Yeah, good. And the women won that same year too, and the men won that same year too. We had a triple victory in the ICC tournament. I think the under 19. I think I can't remember in what order they won. I know the women won before the men. I know the men was the last. So I think the under 19 first, then the women, and then the men won the tournament. So that was a great year for West Indies cricket in general. Now, before I bring in CC, just to tell you people, the people in the States, long weekend, Monday, the 19th holiday, federal holiday, Martin Luther King birthday, federal holiday, Martin Luther King birthday. And you therefore have this long weekend. I hope you make very good use of it. Because how things just go, you know, how long more you're going to have that particular holiday. Let me bring in CC for him to welcome, to have his introductory say, and then we're going to come back. CC, welcome, my brother. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. I want to thank the Lord for sparing my life and giving me the opportunity to do His work. Condolences to the relatives and friends and family of those persons who passed, particularly Noel Donald Sinclair. I remember I used to encourage him, or used to get him to do lecture to the police at the evening. Very knowledgeable guy, and he had a lot of credentials behind his name. Ramla Khan, my boy, worked with me. I remember one time he was a public relations officer, and he did an excellent job. And I said, "Boy, you weren't supposed to go in PR. You're supposed to go in a subdivision and work." And he ended up in Borbies and ended up being the commander there. sorry they didn't have promotion, so he retired as a superintendent. He should have been far better than what the position he left. But I understand he's doing well. I understand he has a nice resort somewhere on the highway. He's invited me a couple of times, but I didn't get the opportunity to go there. And all those who have celebrated their birthdays, happy birthdays, and we need to get on with it.
Yeah, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. You know, Ronald Khan, let me just remind well, not remind, let me inform them. Yes, he should have been at the higher rank on his retirement, but he's one of the persons that the Police Service Commission that we were on promoted in 2021 to the rank of senior superintendent, and the government refused to accept the promotion. He was one of those persons. So he retired as a superintendent, and you know, and I said I blame a lot of them. You know, you're retired; they should have gone to court. Many of them did not challenge us, lay back and accept, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Now, tomorrow morning is cleanup time. Cleanup time. Messages have circulated that police have to come out and clean up all them shit and so on around the place. Police ranks got to come and clean. Remember last week, Saturday, it was the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports. So tomorrow is going to be police turn to come all over. Police, I understand the message circulate to all the divisions. So they got to come up and clean. They're going to see them on the seawall. They're going to see the conform. Well, he's still squatting because he passed the age. He should have gone over a long time. You're going to see him out there demonstrating to them what they should do in terms of cleaning up. He's going to be there cleaning up. But there's one thing he leads by example with, you know. He leads by example with the cleaning up, right? He leads by example with the cleaning up. Here he goes. Watch. Come, let's pick up this. Yeah. That's the Commissioner of Police. So you can't say that the man don't lead by example. In certain respects, he does, right? So that is what's going to happen tomorrow. That is what is going to happen tomorrow morning. All the ranks. And let me tell you all this, as we have said, it's not a case where you have to volunteer, you know. They might say that you're invited, and they might use all sorts of fancy words, but you ain't going to see what's going to happen. You don't turn up. They get registered, they're going to take your name. Maybe they're going to tell you that they're going to give you a little breakfast, right? That is what they do. All week, people work, you know, all week. They work all week because these people that they target are the ones who generally work during the course of the week, 8 to 4 workers, as we say. They're looking forward to the weekend. Women looking forward to wash the clothes, go to the laundry, go to the hair salon, nice up yourself, and generally relax. Many people, I think, are going to be Adventist 7 days. Tomorrow is a Sabbath. Starts at 6 o'clock this afternoon. They want to go and clean up. They want to go and clean up. And this is a country, the fastest growing economy, they say, making billions and billions of United States dollars from the oil revenue and so on. And that is what they relegate police ranks to. Clean up around the place. Right? Sad. Real sad. Right? Now let me move on. Now, we had the recent thing was on Tuesday or when they had the opening of the courts, the Demerara sizes. I have a lot I wanted to talk about it. I don't know if time is going to permit me this afternoon to speak about all of those things. But I noted, in terms, first of all, I have to congratulate the all-female unit. There was an all-female unit. The acting chancellor took the salute and the march past. He inspected the all-female guard of honor. And the police, again, they're very loose with the statements they release, you know. It's unfortunate. I can't, long ago, I would have guessed somebody could call and say, yeah, correct this is wrong, and that is wrong, right? People who know me in the force, and many of them are here now, know that nobody can challenge me when it comes to drills and things about guns. You cannot challenge my knowledge and experience in drills and guns. I cut my teeth, so to speak, on drills. So when it comes to drills and firearms, drills in the first instance, because let me tell you, drills, that is where I made my name. That is where I made my name and became the youngest sergeant in the history of the Ghana Police Force. 21 years, I was already promoted to sergeant. Me, I jumped the rank, promoted to corporal in 1976 because they hadn't Lance Corporal then, promoted to sergeant in 1977, primarily on my ability as a drill instructor. And then later on, the firearm thing came in because even then I knew the theory, but I used to struggle with the practice. But then I owned my skills and became one of the best marksmen around and so on. So I know when it comes to guns and you come to drills, I know what I'm talking about. And the police release said the January session of the Demerara Assizes of the Supreme Court of the Judicature officially opened on Tuesday, January 13, 2026, at the Victoria Law Courts with a ceremonial parade that showcased precision, discipline, and professionalism. Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire, took the salute and inspected the Guard of Honor. The all-female Guard of Honor was led by Woman Assistant Superintendent Tiffany Williams. The parade was commanded by Assistant Commissioner Michael Kingston and accompanied by Cadet Officer Shaquille Sparman. The all-female contingent was drawn from various sections of the Ghana Police Force. Now they go on to talk about the military. Here is a correction. Tiffany Williams was a parade commander, right? The parade was commanded by Tiffany Williams. Mr. Kingston, Assistant Commissioner, was not the parade commander. He would have been the commissioner's representative, right? So we must get these things right. Williams, you said that the parade, you yourself said, the parade, they took the guard, the all-female Guard of Honor was led by Woman Assistant Tiffany Williams. Then, therefore, she was the parade commander. She was the parade commander. But then the parade was commanded by Assistant Commissioner Michael Kingston. Wrong. Y'all got to learn these things, man. I got the people out there, y'all writing us as a crap. Kingston could not have been Assistant Commissioner. Kingston was not the parade commander. Assistant Superintendent Tiffany Williams was the parade commander, right? Michael Kingston was the commissioner's representative. I acted in that position because most times when you command A division or you're at A division, but they call Region 4A now, you went there at the commissioner's representative. You stood there and then you went in to the Chief Justice chambers where they're going to have a little small talk, and then they used to get a little something, some chairs and so on. So you got to understand these things. Like you're writing for the consumption of the world, you know. You're writing for the consumption of the world. So you have got to try and be accurate. So I say this again, right? And the article is written by, I'll call the name for embarrass, the report by some sergeant from, I guess, from the Corporate Communication Unit. Right? His name is there in the article too. So everybody know who's the man write this thing. And people who know drills and observe can realize, because they post pictures too. And the pictures that you put up clearly showed that Tiffany Williams, ASP, I'm shocked that she's still an assistant superintendent. She did wrong long. So I don't know. Maybe she's not finding favor with all them promotion that going on. Tiffany Williams is still an assistant superintendent. Something wrong. So I tell you, when it comes to drill, none of them can question my knowledge about drills. I cut my teeth on drills. I became a drill instructor the same month I came out of training school. I came out of training school on the 1st of September, and by the time the next course started to train, I was one of the drill instructors. Promoted corporal in October of 1976, promoted sergeant the following year, May or something like that. Spent 8 months as a corporal. Became the youngest sergeant in the Ghana Police Force at age 21. And I say this to say this. Somebody saying Tiffany Williams is superintendent, but they release say what they release say, man. Somebody saying that Tiffany Williams is the superintendent, but I'm reading what they say. This is the release. They say the all-female Guard of Honor was led by Woman Assistant Superintendent Tiffany Williams. Wait, you want to tell me the Corporate Communication Unit and know the rank of one of the officers, I can check the photograph to see if I can recognize what badge of rank she wore, right? I can check to see, right? And let me say this, when I talk about my ability to drill and so on, I'm saying this because one of the students communicated with me last week. And the man said, Mr. Slow, you're being very modest because in all that you say and all you do, you don't let people know how outstanding you are as a drill instructor and later as a marksman, right? So the student, perhaps we said, goad me into telling you about that. The older people like Peter and them will know, or Rick Mentor, and they know. I wasn't ordinary. Sergeant, 3 stripes in 3 years. And hear what an officer told me. He did now. In them days, let me tell you a little bit more. As a drill instructor, you wore special boots, what you used to call rioter. I don't know if many younger people don't know what is a rioter. A rioter was a boot from England, and it was it hadn't any seam at the front, right? But it had leather bottom with blakies, as you would call it, steel bottom. So it aided you in turning and drilling and so on. And it made a lot of noise when you're walking. So the steel and the tarmac and so on, crouch. So one day, young sergeant, everybody meeting me and congratulating me, and so on. And then I was going, if you know headquarters, I going east to turn around by where finance office there. Where finance office is now, that used to be general office. So I'm turning there and I saw this officer, right? Ronald Harris. So therefore, I angled myself so that he could be on my right. So I can give him a sharp right salute. And I did. Right salute. Immaculate, and so on. And then he stopped me. He says, Sergeant, stop. Come, Sergeant, come. So he marched. I said, blam, blam. He said, 3 stripes in 3 years? I'm proud to say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He repeat 3 stripes in 3 years. I said, yes, sir. He said, you're flying high. I got to clip your wing. That is what he told me. You're flying high. I have to clip your wing. So people who know me, they know. So when you come to drill, so when I tell you about drill, when I tell you about guns, as I will do later, about the gun story, I understand, I get another knowledge, right? Somebody saying, well, I can check to see what Stephanie's correct rank and so on. But Ulrich and them, I know, people know me then, right? People know me. Slim, trim, some people say mean as well. Well, as a drill instructor, you have to be that. Now, let me move on. This place, say, when they Guyana and Arner. Let me read this story. Matter of fact, let me bring in CC for him to, if he wants to see anything on this all-female guard of honor. It's not the first time there's been an all-female guard of honor. They've had that before. So, yeah, it's nice to see them there, but they have had all-female guard of honor from the police before. Yes, CC.
Yeah, they had it before, and I saw it, and they did exceedingly well. Tiffany, I not once said she was a deputy soup, so I won't be surprised if she's a soup now, based on all those 2,800 promotions that they made, I wouldn't be surprised if she's a superintendent now.
Some people saying that Tiffany, I'm not sure is wrong. I'm sure, but they're right. I read from what they said, and as I indicated, I was surprised. Actually, the wrong line, that she's still an assistant superintendent, right? I'm surprised if it is that she's still if she's not an assistant superintendent, it just confirms what we were saying about the inaccurate reporting of the police corporate communication unit, right? You had Mark Ramatar there, he gone, but like the thing, the thing they're in the blood now, man. Nobody checks these things and so on, right? Nobody checks this thing. Not well. The role, though, not superintendent, there was no specific rank. When a soldier became an officer, the TSU, ASP, and so on, you were made to carry that parade, right? You were made to carry the opening of the courts. That's one of the first parade most officers will carry. The opening of the assizes. Most officers, that is where they break you in. We break you in there on the in June, because there are 3 sessions, if my memory serves me correct. January, June, on October, opening of the assizes in Demerara. Then you have opening the assizes in Berbice, and you have opening assizes in Essequibo. In terms of the opening of the assizes in Berbice, the ranks in Berbice used to do that many years ago. And then there was one infamous picture of the divisional commander, right? Looking very, very slack. He was an assistant commissioner, looking very, very slack. And folian and all sort of thing when he should not have been, his hand should be folded. And the commissioner then, I think like Barker, I can't remember who, decided, took a decision. From thereafter, the TSU will go and conduct that parade. I went there many, many, many times, right? You go up, you do a rehearsal thing the Monday afternoon, you travel up Monday, rehearsal Monday afternoon, parade Tuesday morning, and then you head back to Georgetown. And something similarly happened in Essequibo, right? Essequibo, never used to get no ceremonial opening of the assizes. And then in the early 80s, when Baldwin Scotland was the commander, Baldwin Scotland was able to influence or able to convince the force administration that they should send a unit there. He talked about the PR and thing, and it was good because I was an inspector then. Malcolm Walker was the officer in charge of the parade, and we went up there, and during the rehearsal, is the whole of that study area turn out to see, can you hear the drum beating and so on? Is the whole study turn up for the first time, and then they had an activity one night where the band had to go and play things. Baldwin Scotland was the commander there. So this is just a little history of this thing and so on, right? So let me move on though. We tell all sort of things go down in the police force. All sort of things. So I don't know how they're going to get policemen motivated to do the work, right? I don't know how. This is a report that came out today. Let me tell you what is being alleged. That at SOCU, the Special Organized Crime Unit of the Guyana Police Force, threw a sergeant in the lockups after he failed some operation they had. This is Big Smith Newswatch reporting. And it says the Special Organized Crime is under fire from within its own organization and other serving members of the force for its treatment of a police sergeant. SOCU earlier this week arrested a police sergeant by the name of Canterbury and ordered that he be thrown into the police lockups, fully dressed in his police uniform attire, a clear breach of the Guyana Police Force standing orders and procedures, which are to be followed when arresting and detaining serving members of the force. He ain't right there. Just right there, so I think they ain't got no clue what they're talking about. Right here, go on. Big Smith Newswatch has been informed that the police sergeant who usually drives a police force tow truck in Georgetown was called away from his duties and lured by a senior officer of SOCU to a location in the east bank of Demerara. It turned out that the SOCU agents were staking out Peter's Hall Masjid, where the Mohammeds would usually pray. The operations was to seize a Toyota Land Cruiser, which was parked outside the masjid at the time. However, while on site, another senior officer of SOCU communicated with the policeman and told him, quote, "Boy, leave those people's vehicle alone," end of quote. After waiting for some time, the main officer on the ground, who was also commanding agent of the Guyana Revenue Authority, ordered the team to move from the location and return to Ramwell Police Station for a debriefing. At the station, the police sergeant was told that he was being detained. When he questioned the reason for the decision, he was not answered. His rights were not read to him. He was denied a phone call to his wife to pick up his children from school, and he was also denied access to an attorney at law. In fact, a senior officer on the ground attached to SOCU told the policeman that if he wanted to call his wife, he should do so using the phone of another police rank. The sergeant was then placed in a vehicle and taken to the North Ramwell Police Outpost, where up to last evening he remained. One source inside of SOCU told Big Smith Newswatch that the big man A, end the quote, want to charge a policeman for conspiracy to commit money laundering. That is what is being reported. A police sergeant. Now, there are several things that stood out to me there. A police sergeant, he's driving a tow truck. You see what tell you this crazy promotion that the president made last year? So a man is promoted to the rank of sergeant, and his duty is to drive a tow truck. I mean, Big Smith has sorted a lot of things that he don't know about, because the Police Act, Discipline Act 1701, makes provision for a rank to be placed in the ordinary lockup, like an ordinary prisoner under certain circumstances, right? I ain't saying that the circumstances they warranted that based on what is reported, but yeah, a rank I had the cost to do that on more than one occasion, put them in the lockup based on their behavior and so on, like an ordinary prisoner. The law makes provision for that. So you get this sergeant, and well, there's a follow-up to it. I saw a little while ago, Big Smith again reporting that the man has been released because of pressure from the media and pressure and lie and them intervene. Because they claiming they're going to take, they removed the vehicle, and the man apparently got conflicting information. And he ain't calling name, but I have a suspicion as to who the person might be. I have a strong suspicion as to who this person might be. But there's a type of unfairness policemen treated. And I want y'all to see it. Because, all right, for whatever reason you're arresting me, right? There are laws. He has rights. He has rights. You don't want to pick up your children, you want to give phone call. That's what is being alleged. I don't know how true it is, right? But if it is so, it is wrong. And the thing is, if nothing will be done against those persons who would have violated that wrong's right. Nothing would have been done, right? Right, nothing, right? Now, well, Commissioner Cole generally no. Generally, you don't lock up the rank. Generally, I say as a general rule, but it all depends on the conduct of the rank. Because if your rank does anything to be placed under close arrest, and the law provides if he conducts himself in a certain manner, he can be placed in the lockup as an ordinary prisoner. And therefore, if at the time of that behavior, he was in uniform, then yes, he can be placed there. But then I would think arrangement will be made shortly thereafter for him to get closer changeover. But provisions are made in the law, Police Discipline Act Chapter 1701, for a policeman. Because normally they talk about close arrest, which they're abusing it. Close arrest, where they say you're confined to some place other than the cell. But then in the same law, it tells you that if the conduct of the policeman is of such, he can be placed in the lockups as an ordinary prisoner. Right? So education for some of them police who believe that they can do it. Check the law, 1701. Check it, Police Discipline Act, Chapter 17:01. But as we say, it is reported that the rank has been released. And let me see, because when you read the last part, and the man is now being threatened to be charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering, this is serious business, right? This is serious business. Money laundering. So he got, according to the report, he went there they wanted him to tow a vehicle. I guess it's the same bulletproof vehicle they're talking about. But now, this thing has gotten to the stage where it has been alleged that they're threatening to charge you with money laundering. Right? That is what a sergeant of police, a police rank, say they're doing that to their own. Imagine what they're going to do to people who are not one of theirs. Imagine that. Imagine that. Let me bring in CC to have a say on this matter, and then we're going to move on. As I said, we have a lot to talk about today. CC, let's think about this sergeant, the driver, a sergeant who driving the tow truck, and then he put in the lockup and all sort of thing. Your take.
Well, if you're going to make 2,800, what do you expect? So you get sergeants doing all kind of things. Some stations get 3 sergeants. You get sergeant for waste. But the thing is placing a man in the lockups. I don't have the act close at hand, but I recall that if he's under the influence of intoxicating liquor to such an extent as to be incapable of performing his duty, if he strikes or attempts to strike another member of the force superior in the rank to him, if he willfully disobey lawful order given to him by his superior rank, so he could be confined, yes, placed on a close arrest. But to me, why they send him to that location? Is it that they had wanted to seize one of Mohammed's vehicle and carry it to the station? There are ways and means of doing things, And here's it, a sergeant, and a sergeant who is a driver. Remember, we had the one Barbies, we a commando, driver, involved in certain acts of misconduct. All you hear that he placed under close arrest, full stop. Acts of misconduct involving firearm, and you know, all you're gonna hear that they place under close arrest or they place under arrest story down there. And the bottom line was Mohammed. Mohammed was the target, and maybe he had instructions to do certain things. He did not comply, so they placed him under arrest.
Well, it's not only Mohammed, it's a disease. The disease known as Lamborghini-itis. That is it. Not only Mohammed, the disease that they're all contracting, that terrible disease, Lamborghini-itis. Now, let me tell you all this. I told you all, and someday, you remember they had where it was, today's Friday, might have been Wednesday, this cash grant to Fisher Folks. Cash grant to Fisher Folks. Fisher Folks on the quarantine were given, well, maybe elsewhere too, $150,000 cash grant. So many of you who are looking forward to your cash grant for Christmas, nothing, you ain't get you, right? But the Fisher Folks were given $150,000. And as I said, I show a lot of people who don't know how, they don't know what fishing rod look like. They don't know what a seine look like. Then if you don't, I see they never been out on a boat for fish. And enough of them gonna get. So don't only listen to me. Listen to what Uncle saying. Hear what Uncle Gavin said. Here, listen to this.
Mr. President, I go collect money. This man left 10 o'clock, and who I walk a stick collect fisherman money. And me watch about donkeys and see what my arm is seeing there. What really happened? Eh? What really going on? The man I do body work, I do taxi work, and them get you more than me, and me done, they vote for you. What really going on in this country? Eh? What really, President? What really going on? And me vote for you. So what really going on? Me see some man I walk a stick. Losing on center and collect cash grant and Ghana. Me walk a stick since my 14 years. Now walk a 65 years. Eh? What really going on? President? How do they find me name? How do they find a man walk a stick and who do body work and who Batman work and them I get money and me can't get, eh? What really going on? I will vote for you. I will vote for you. Mr. President, this really going on. A man do taxi work on the road, me see them, and I go collect $150,000 cash, and I collect on a gun, and I put on the wallet, and I drive with a gun. And me walk, me left since 10 o'clock this morning. I mean, I eat, me not drink cup tea, me go hospital, get me money, so I go buy a little ration for cook. I don't know what I eat. Boy, grass, my donkey. Eh? What really going on? Mr. President, let me tell you something. It's an advantage, you know. And me vote for you, you know. Who will vote for? What I'm seeing there, tear up. I'm not getting money, man, up.
Uncle, go take back your vote, man. Uncle, go take back your vote. Your vote, you want to eat grass if you like a donkey? Go take back your vote, Uncle. Go take back your vote. I found that very, very amusing. So I said, I'm going to share it to the studio this Friday afternoon for y'all get a little laugh, man. I'm going to share. They want to say, like they want to eat grass like a donkey, right? I found it so amusing. So I said, I'm going to share. Well, Uncle, go take back your vote, man. But I'm going to vote for them. Man, I walk with stick. They will drive taxi. They get 150,000 cash grant. And he work fisherman work since he's 14. Uncle can't get through. Uncle got a since 10 o'clock morning and line up. You didn't even drink tea. And that is what happened. Take back your vote, Uncle. Go to G-Com, tell you want back your vote. Folks, I have to lighten up y'all afternoon a little bit. Y'all share the life, man. Share the life. We coming into the real things them now. Share the life. Share the life. Now, let me tell you this one. Today, you know, again, we talk about police talking about. They just come and they tell you about clear up rate, the charges, body charge. And you don't hear anything more, right? You don't hear anything more, right? So today, the news broke that city businessman Randy Jack D.O. walked free on today after a Diamond magistrate in no case submission writing treason. The charge of inciting treason felony against him was legally defective and evidentially unsustainable. Jagdio, 39 of Alexander Village, has been before the magistrate at the Diamond Grove Magistrate Court, charged under Section 314 of the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 8:01. His attorneys successfully argued that the prosecution failed to establish a prima facie case. The charge stemmed from allegation that Jagdio incited persons to commit treason, an offense that carries a potential sentence of life imprisonment. Prosecutors had pointed to a controversial Facebook comment and signage at his business on the east bank of Demerara as part of the case. Early in the proceedings, Jagdio had been granted $350,000 bail in order to surrender his passport. Reports mounted to the headquarters of the police cybercrime unit and ceased posting on social media. The matter had been adjourned to June 16, 2025. With the court ruling today, the charge was dismissed and Jagdio was discharged. Now, let me understand where it stemmed from. Back in May 2022, when this Venezuelan issue, Venezuela, Maduro, who now is the guest of the United States, threatening to annex, he actually did annex Essequibo and so on. Jagdio, right, is said to post something at sign for the business place, saying that Essequibo belongs to Venezuela. That is what this man, who's a Guyanese, posted, that Essequibo belongs to Venezuela, right? And then he made other posts to suggest that Essequibo wasn't Guyana. So they arrested him and they charged him. He was charged with inciting treason felony. That is treasonous. That is treasonous. Just like on the man, they said, let me show y'all. I believe that this too was treasonous. I believe, hold on, y'all, bear with me. Let me pull up this thing that I believe. I believe that this was treasonous.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area. You could.
Yeah. I believe that's my belief. I believe when the people claiming land and you telling them you could give them concession, you're going to give them. If you get maritime space, you don't get land space too. But that is it. Now let me move on. We done now, and I really want to touch on this one because this is a burning issue over the past 24 hours or so. I'm talking here about this release that the police made about this big catch of weapons that they found. Now, as I tell y'all, I know something about guns, yeah? So when I saw this article, it caught my attention. Police find 8 firearms. Wonderful work. Police find 8 firearms. Let me go in to read what's going on. And then this by Dennis Shabal from the Marawi's is a spile sport. What the man right last night. Hoodwink. Police boast seizing firearms for Thai guns. That's what you write. What you go on to say. The Guyana Police Force on Thursday boasted that it seized 8 firearms in quote. But experts say only the shotgun is a real firearm and 7 airsoft guns are actually toy guns. The Guyana Police Force did not respond to questions such as, quote, why the police call the airsoft guns firearms when in fact they are not, end of quote. And did the Guyana Police Force seek to hoodwink the public into believing that it was a major arms and ammunition breakthrough by calling them, quote unquote, firearms? Sources said this raises serious questions about whether police are operating, whether people are operating security services provided so-called armed guards who are actually carrying toy guns that imitate the look of real guns. The sources say this also points to the failure of the Guyana Police Force to conduct routine inspection of guards and guard services to ascertain whether they are allowed to bear arms. whether the guns are real, unlicensed, or are toy guns. No license required to carry a toy gun, but it is an offense to use a toy gun to commit a crime, which is goes without saying. Below is the police force statement claiming that 8 firearms were found. Y'all excuse me, let me get my lip. Hear what the police statement said. It says, police are investigating the discovery of several firearms and ammunition following an intelligence-led operation conducted on Tuesday, the 13th of January, 2026, about 16:30 hours, at several locations, including a supermarket and a shopping mall in Sophia, Greater Georgetown, and a supermarket in Lusignan, East Coast Demerara. During the operation, ranks contacted several security guards employed with a private security service who are on duty at the respective locations. One security guard, a 31-year-old maid of Sophia, who was on duty at a supermarket in Sophia, was found in possession of an airsoft rifle and was unable to produce a permit. At another location, a 35-year-old male of Beefield, Sophia, who was on duty at a shopping mall in Sophia, was found armed with a 12-gauge shotgun containing 2 live cartridges. Checks revealed that the serial number was filed off and no license or precept was produced. Further searches conducted at a third location resulted in the discovery of an airsoft rifle in the vicinity of a guard hut. The security guard at that location, a 30-year-old male of Cummings Park, Cummings Lodge, East Coast Demerara, who was on duty at the supermarket in Lusignan, stated that the firearm was issued at the commencement of his tour of duty. Subsequent inquiries led the ranks to contact the supervisor and owner of the security service, a 40-year-old male of industry, East Coast Demerara. A search conducted on his motor vehicle revealed 5 airsoft firearms, comprising 3 airsoft pistols, 2 airsoft rifles. He was unable to produce permits or license for the firearms. In total, 8 firearms were recovered, along with 2 rounds of ammunition. All firearms and ammunition were processed and lodged pending further investigation. The suspects were taken into police custody and are assisting with the investigations, and investigations are ongoing. Now I have a lot to unpack, and I'll tell you all again, let me repeat for you, my background as a firearm instructor. I was a firearm instructor for many, many years in the Guyana Police Force, the leading firearm instructor for many years in the Guyana Police Force. At a very early age, I joined the Guyana National Rifle Association and became a fixture on the national team and also West Indies shooting team, right? So I know something about guns. And when I read this thing, airsoft, I said, airsoft firearms? No, something sound wrong. So I had to go and make sure I brush up my notes. And here, let me tell you all this. Let me pull up my notes. First of all, airsoft guns are not classified as firearms under the Firearms Act of Guyana, Chapter 16:05. Airsoft guns are not, and I'm using guns, guns, because let me tell you all again as an instructor. When we talk about guns is a generic term. Guns, anything. You get gun, you get different type of guns, yeah? So you get machine gun, you get the call rifle gun, you get shotgun, you get water gun, you get a whole set of guns. They all comes under this generic term guns, right? They are guns. But they are not, in many cases, many of them are not firearms. So, for example, if you call an air gun, right? Yeah, air gun is a gun, but air gun is not a firearm. Water gun is a gun. Well, some air guns are not firearm. Water gun is a gun, but water gun is not a firearm, right? So when we talk about firearm, we have got to be more specific. And under the Firearms Act, guns are the firearms are defined, right? When it comes, you talk about rifle, pistol, and yeah, you're gonna query about those things. When they talk about air guns in the same Firearm Act, and I know this from my service at the TSU many, many years, because what happens is that in them days, a lot of people used to bring in air guns into the country, right? Now, there are two calibers. Air guns have two calibers, 177 and 22. Now, when you bring in the air guns and you sought permission, because, yeah, you need to get permission, not a license. You got a permission to keep the and use the gun. Some people say they want to shoot vermins. Some people, all kind of thing, right? The gun would have been taken to the TSU, right? The armorer of the TSU would examine. If it was a 177 caliber, then we would say that it is not it cannot be modified to become a firearm, right? It cannot be modified to become a firearm, so the person would get it. If it was a 22 caliber, then we would say that, look, this thing can be modified to be a firearm, and therefore you have to get special arrangement for that person to get a 22. So there were two 177 and 22. And up to now, 177 now, in case you don't know, is a big thing. Olympic sports, 177 air rifle and air pistol they are Olympic sports. And I remember going to the Commonwealth Games. I think it was in Australia, Gold Coast or somewhere. And to the Indians, the people from India, they dominate. They do very well at air rifle and air pistol. And maybe since we only had one medal at the Olympics since 1980 with Malcolm Paris, maybe they can seek to get people trained to air gun, air rifle, air pistol. Maybe we can make some more progress there. But yeah, so you get air guns, yeah? You get air guns. And then, so again, as I say, you don't need, they're not described in the law as firearms. Now, in the same law, you get they identify some air rifles by brand name. I remember one Daisy, and to say they identify those that are by brand name which are allowed, and those which are not allowed by brand name. But things have evolved, things have changed. The sad thing is that the Firearm Act remains the same. Same definition for firearm, same. Because in the Act, it talks about firearms and component part and all of that. Ammunition and component part. So that's why we say if they find you with a shell, it's a component part, you get charged under the same Firearm Act. You don't have to have the whole gun. The gun don't have to be working on all of that. All right. So then what happened over the years? People, well, it's also in the Firearm Act. Let me tell you all this. The Firearm Act makes provision that if you're a member of a rifle club, a recognized rifle club, you can get a gun. You don't have to have a license, right? So when I got my rifles, my rifle association rifles, and so I don't have to have a license to carry the rifle because I'm a member of the rifle club. But the commissioner of police can put restrictions that you can't carry it home. You got to latch it, pick it up when you're ready to go and practice. And then, BSA was another air gun, right? So when you talk about gun is a generic term. So yeah, same thing with pistols. If you're a member of the rifle club, of our pistol club, a proof is a club, you can get a pistol, but you don't have to have a license for the pistol. But you're not allowed to take it with you. It is lodged with the police. You uplift it when you're ready to practice. And then when you finish practicing with it, you return it to the police. In terms of rifles, sometimes when we have competitions coming up, a request would be made to the commissioner of police for specific shooters, riflemen, to keep the rifles at home for a period, because in shooting, rifle shooting in particular, you have what you do, dry firing, where you lay down and you put up a little thing target and you go through the movement, practice. You're trying to get muscle memory, you practice and so on. So those things are provided for in the law of Guyana. This thing, what they call now airsoft, as I've said, airsoft is not a firearm. And I got a beautiful, I'm going to go through, y'all bear with me, I'm going to go through this thing in detail. It is not a firearm, right? And as we have said, the police talk about intelligent-led operation, right? Conducted on January the 13th. The police said they had this intelligent-led operation conducted on January the 13th. It getting to the point where the word intelligent-led and police in the same sentence, you're going to say it's an oxymoron, right? Because one thing that struck me immediately, if it's an intelligent-led operation, you don't hear them talking anything about warrant, you know. You get intelligent. That's what you're saying. That money or guns or something, you ain't going and get no warrant to cover yourself legally to go and search. It's just Wild West, right? So they say that the operation was carried out on the 13th of January. And look the picture that they posted. Look. These are the, well, we can't call them gun. This one, they say, is a shotgun with a bullpup shotgun, right? And these are the other, what they call firearms, which they are not. They are imitations. Airsoft are imitation. They look real. And I'm going to go into it and tell you all the purpose of those things and so on. They look real, but they are not. They are not classified as firearms generally. Some states in the United States, some countries, they have specific laws to deal with this. Guyana doesn't have that. I was doing some research last night and recognized that something about this airsoft now, where they say in Israel, they have a big problem with it because they can be modified to become lethal. But in their original state, they are not lethal. But they find that they can be modified, and they said the terrorists will modify them to make them lethal. And one of the reasons advanced is because they are very cheap, or relatively cheap. So that you can get an airsoft, something that imitates a Glock pistol, an AR-15 rifle, as we can see. You might come, you know whether this thing is real or not, right? So you can, they manufacture them, and they say they can be modified. So in those places, they have laws. We have not gotten there yet. So I went out with this experience now that they have, and they uncover all of these airsoft guns, not firearms, these airsoft guns, that the Attorney General will move with breakneck speed to make sure. I hope they move with the same type of speed, with the same alacrity that they're moving against the Mohammeds, to make sure, because I believe this is even more dangerous. As we have come to see now, airsoft guns there, you look like you get Dora, they find 8, they find 7. How many more in the system? Who knows? And as I've said, when a man, if you're at home at night or you're walking on the road and a somebody point one of these things to you, you and want to know whether it's a thing or not, you're gonna believe that it is it is a real gun. So the thing carried out on the 13th, but look the date that this photograph that they posted. They post a photograph saying, this photograph is dated the 12th of January, 2026. So in other words, this photograph was taken before they carried out this intelligent-led operation. Right? Understand what we're saying here, you know. You see, that is why I'm saying the incompetence is unreal. They post a picture, accompanying the story on social media. The story said that they carried out this intelligence-led operation on the 13th of January. And the picture that they're posting saying that this picture was taken out on the 12th of January. Yeah, it can be a mistake. I have no doubt perhaps it can be a mistake. But when you come to policing and these things, you can't make them type of mistake. You can't. So maybe they I don't know how they do it, if it's a date on the camera or whatever, but these things have to be checked properly. And I've been saying this every program. Every program I've been saying this. Every program. The corporate communication unit, these people are giving out this information. They have to be more careful. They have to have proper checks before these things go out. Right? They have to have proper checks. So let me take a little piece more, and then I'll bring in CC in a short while. Now, they in some places, some states. Now let me say this: airsoft. You have airsoft clubs now. Remember, I don't know if you all know, but they used to have what we call paintball clubs, where people get a paintball machine and you go and do a war break. Basically, it's war break. But the thing that you have, right? The marker shoot something. So if you get knocked, you know that you get knocked. And I say marker because when I used to be active in the Rifle Association, there was a big debate. Because when you call them paintball gun, the police and distributors say, well, you gotta get permission and that, but we no. So it became paintball markers. Because once you use the word gun, people believe gun, well, all is lethal barrel gun, and that's what they believe, right? Which is not so. But in the States and elsewhere, they have clubs, airsoft clubs, where children and adults, they go, they get the airsoft guns and so on, and they go and they play war break. You know, longer we used to play war break, and you fire off with your mouth, bow, 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 bow. But now they have to do that, right? The airsoft will eject the projectile, and we're going to tell you something about the projectile just now. But with the airsoft guns, look what differentiates them. You have to make sure that this is what, it's how realistic look. What is airsoft? This orange muzzle tells you it's an airsoft gun. All of these things carry this orange to the front, which identifies them as airsoft. Non-lethal. They are non-lethal, right? Non-lethal. Now, well, yeah, the orange muzzle, right? This identifies them as non-lethal. And here, let me read something, what the research tells me. It says here, an airsoft gun is a replica firearm used in the sport of airsoft, firing non-lethal plastic 6mm BBs for recreational games, training, and films, with types including spring, electric, and gas-powered. And while generally less painful than the BB guns, requires protective gear like goggles due to the potential skin sting or bruises, with important legal considerations for public display, especially the need for an orange tip. So here what happens, when you go in, you say it's a sting like a BB, it can sting you. So when you go to play your airsoft game, you have to have your equipment, your clothing. So you get this type of thing, helmet and so on to protect your face and your eyes and so on. And then you get your jacket and so on. That's to prevent sting. I remember again, I said, you used to get paintball machine and you used to dress up with something similar with paintball. But we have gone past, not we, they have gone past paintball now, and they're using airsoft, right? And then they explain here how it works. It says you got a spring type, you got an electric type, and you got a gas power, CO2. Again, people been anything know about CO2, right? Then the key difference from the BB gun ammunition, airsoft use plastic 6mm or 8mm. So the airsoft use a plastic 6mm or 8mm. BB guns use metal. So the regular BB is metal. As I told you, all the 177, the pellets, or the .45 pellets for BB. That's the air gun stuff, which are harder and more dangerous. The purpose of the airsoft is to simulate combat. BB guns are often for target shooting and can cause serious injury. So you get airsoft, you get BB, you get all of these things. But the airsoft, as we say, is not lethal, right? And then to tell you in terms of safety and legality, protection, full face mask, goggles, and covered clothing are essential. Then they talk about the laws. They said laws varies, but in places like California, showing an airsoft gun in public can be illegal. And replicas often require an orange tip to distinguish them from a real gun. And then I go on to tell you about the cost. They say very cost. Entry-level guns can be inexpensive, but serious players often spend $180 to $240 for reliable mid-range models with high-end replica and more, costing more, high-end replica. So it's a training. It's a training. Again, let me emphasize airsoft, non-lethal. Non-lethal. Let me tell you something more about airsoft before I bring in CC. We talk about the difference between a gun. I told you about a gun. Everybody said gun. Gun. There's a difference between a gun and a firearm. And here what it says. A gun is a broad term for any device that propels a projectile, while a firearm is a specific type of gun that uses the explosive force of gunpowder or similar propellant for propulsion, distinguishing it from air guns or water guns. Though colloquially, guns often refers to firearms. Essentially, hear this carefully, essentially, all firearms are guns, but not all guns are firearms. Don't be confused. All firearms are guns, but not all guns are firearms, right? Firearm is just a subset. So you got to understand that. Then gun, broad definition, any device that shoots a projectile, often using a trigger mechanism, is a gun. Examples, we talk about firearm, pistol, rifles, air gun, paintball guns, spear gun, water gun, taser gun. They're all guns. They're all guns. But many of them are not firearms, right? Then they go on to say a gun that uses a rapid combustion explosive or a chemical propellant like gunpowder to launch a projectile. That's firearms. Key features relies on an explosive charge. Example, pistol, revolver, rifle, shotgun, machine gun, explosive charge. And the propulsion method, main difference, firearm uses combustion. Other guns might use compression, air, spring, water as a thing, right? So there you see again, we talk about the terminology. Gun is the common general word, while firearm is a more technical or legal term focusing on the explosive propulsion, though they are often used interchangeably in everyday conversation. Every day. I remember back in the day, people like Ivor and Toro and them gonna remember, you dare not refer to your rifle as a gun. Oh God, if you that was sacrilegious. Training as a soldier to refer to your rifle as a gun. Oh God, them drill instructor and them instructor can kill you for that. You cannot call your rifle a gun. They used to tell you, this is your rifle, this is your gun. And they used to show you where you're going there. This is your rifle, this is your gun. So we use a generic term, because break it down, you get rifles. And even within that subset rifle, you get different types of rifles. You get target rifle, you get assault rifle, you get bolt action rifle. You get a whole set of different categories in that. Then when you talk about pistol too, you get pistols, you get semi-automatic pistol, you get pistol of different caliber, different types of pistol. Then you get revolver, right? Which again is another subset, revolver. So you have all of these things. And when you talk about guns too, you get machine gun, you get all kind of guns. So policemen, who I know many of them are going to be listening, you got to understand these terms. You got to understand. I know, I said before, I have I think it's 2 manuals I have, because when I used to travel, when you go into bookstores and so on, I used to pick up these books. A book, a manual, Small Arms of the World. Small Arms of the World. I think I get 2 versions of that. I get used to them thing now. So at some stage, I believe I might present them to some library so that the youngest folks can have the resource to get some knowledge. Yeah, I used to buy the books and read and get the knowledge. Things like flags and guns and all those things. I used to read these things and so on. So you get, people say you get glue gun. You get all sort of thing. Gun is a wide term. So we got to understand that. Right? I noted, artillery guns, exactly. Artillery, people there in the artillery, guns there that's fire. Them big thing where they find is artillery, there's guns, the numerous gun. There's not rifle. And one of the distinguishing things between a gun and a rifle or a pistol and a revolver is that guns have what they call smooth barrels. The barrels are smooth. Whereas a rifle, any kind, a pistol, a revolver, they have riflings, grooves, lands and grooves in. And that is what gives it the distance. That will allow the projectile to travel over a long distance very accurately. And then I told you all you get semi-automatic, automatic, bolt action. Still around, bolt action rifles, even in the military. For sniping, many of the military still use bolt action rifles. 50 caliber, that big 50 caliber thing what they used to use in Afghanistan and elsewhere, bolt action. And the reason why you use a bolt action, because the bolt action rifle, given the same caliber of ammunition or so, has more power and stability. Why? Because when you use a semi-automatic or automatic, the charge that is generated when the bullet fires, some propel the bullet down the barrel, and some of that is used to cock the rifle to make it fire again. So some send the thing. So it is all don't go to send the bullet down. If all were to go down because of the mechanism, then the thing can be semi-automatic or fully automatic. Whereas with the bolt action rifle, all the energy from the bullet is used to propel the bullet down the barrel towards the range. That is why it is more accurate, and that is why it is more powerful. Right? A little thing. And this is not nothing confidential for them tell you. You're telling people about God. Nothing confidential. Nothing confidential. But just my background as an instructor. Now let me bring in CC. I got enough more to say about this, but let me bring in CC. I get a long back in there. But let me bring in CC to make his comments on this matter now. CC, I know you indulged me for a while, but go ahead, my brother.
Well, I know that you're the expert in relation to firearms, guns, etc., etc., etc. But we need to put this thing in proper context. In proper context. We are about security service and we are about security guard. And there's an act, a Private Security Service Act 2009, Act number 32 of 2009, that was put into place to regulate the conduct of security service and their employees. I remember my mentor, Major General Norman McLean, fought for this act. And Jack New quietly signed it, I think on 31st of December 2010. Just permit me a bit. Let me read certain sections of it, because it is important. We get security service mushrooming like zombie umbrella. All over the place, they get security service. For the matter of the security service, there are more employees in terms of number than joint services put together, but they are not regulated. They're doing their own thing. And let me give you a brief definition according to this act. It's a private security guard. Security guard means a private security guard employed or contracted for the purpose for the service by a private security agency. And here we go again. Private security service means the security service provided by a person or body of persons, whether incorporated or not, an agency, organization, or department by the government. And supernumerary counsel means a person appointed by the Commissioner of Police in accordance with Section 82 of the Police Act. Now, this Private Security Act is operating in the breach. Overnight, you're a man would say, hey, I set up a security service. And they employ people left, right, and center without no proper vetting, without no training. And this whole security service you have the controlling authority. And the controlling authority is the commissioner of police. And here's what the commission got to do. The controlling authority shall carry out the functions relating to the license and approval that are conferred on it under this act. Monitor the activities and effectiveness of private security services, private security guards, and the supervision of those agencies. Carry out inspections as it considered necessary in the efficient functioning of the private security service. Recommend to the minister the standard of conduct training and level of supervision to be adopted by those who carry out the business of providing security service and those working as private security guards. So the thing is, the saying is that the commissioner or the control authority will have to monitor what's happening. He'll keep under review the operation of this act. And there are some other things that we need to look at. And here are the persons not eligible for a license. Section 6.1 says, a person shall not be considered for grant of a license or a renewal of a license on its act if he has been convicted of an indictable offense in connection with the promotion, formation, or management of a company or of any fraud. B, declared to be an undischarged insolvent, convicted by a competent court of Guyana or elsewhere for an offense and sentenced to imprisonment for an offense not less than 2 years. Dismissed or removed from the government service on grounds of misconduct involving acts of dishonesty. And they went on to talk about several. But now we find anybody now turning, get security service? Anybody? You know the person next year, he get a security service and he employing a lot of people. And you're saying every private security agency shall ensure that the security guards and supervisor recruited and employed or engaged by them fulfill the educational qualification and physical standard prescribed by the regulation, receive training and professional skills as per the curriculum prescribed by regulation. Those appointed supernumerary constables shall comply with the provision of the Police Act and be processed under the conditions set up by the Commissioner of Police to be appointed members of the supernumerary constable. Now the thing is that the security agencies will apply to the commissioner for members to be for persons to become security guards, and the commissioner will have to do the processing. But when we look at who they're making a security guard, you wanted to know what's going on there. And on the other hand, as it's Spanish dominating security service, a whole lot of them there, some could hardly talk the English language, and they're there as security guards. We don't know if they're complying with the Labor Act or if they're complying with the Immigration Act, because the Labor Act telling you whether you get permission to work in Guyana, and under the immigration, the length of stay that they gotta be in Guyana, Do they come on a visitor's visas? As the case may be, are they entitled for employment? But the training of these security people leaves much to be desired. Coming to the end, I want to say a couple of things. Just tell me. Private security guards and supervisors. They were Section 16.1. A private security service shall issue to every private security guard and every supervisor employed or engaged by it a photo identity card with distinct identification, special uniform, special badge, and caps, including the logos and emblem of the private security agency concerned, as approved by the controlling authority. And the controlling authority is the commissioner. It talk about special uniform. You pass on certain business place and you see security guard in civilian clothing that don't have the company's uniform, and they say uniform must have the emblem, must have the logo, and they must have an identity card on display. But no, they dress anyhow. They look more than like bandits and anything. And then you want to know what kind of training they had. I recall the squatters at one time mentioned that they'd have at least 6 weeks of training. What training they got now? Well, they just turn up and they put a fire in their hand. They go and work here or work there or work elsewhere. And the police has got a supervisor, has got to monitor them. I remember the police had a unit led by, I think it was an inspector and some retirees. And Jackie Opel came into play because he used to turn up to people's place, turn up and say, and when they found persons in default, you say, hey, you got to come up or I'm going to report you. And most time the people used to come up. Jackie Opel used to come into play. And they found that, I think, Watts found that, and I think they disbanded it. I know they reintroduced it. But those security service needs to be monitored. They need to be monitored properly. People fetching gun, you just see a man with a gun, holding a gun like a shovel stick. You know, and they get high power weapon that they man train for, they man get no training with it. And the law gives the commissioner the authority to suspend the operation if they found in default with a view of cancellation. You could suspend and say, they can't perform any duties, and you give them opportunity to rectify themselves or their license be cancelled. But this act, this Private Security Act, is operating in the breach, and it's high time they start to look at this Private Security Act to the letter. And we're talking about training of the people and the kind of person who they employ, who they make security guards. They need to look at it. Look at the Private Security Act 2009 and rigidly enforce it.
For that interjection, my brother. Let me continue. Some questions were proposed. People posed some question here about caliber 303. Now nobody uses 303 caliber any longer. They for long range. It is either in 308, which is 7.62 by 5.1. That is a NATO caliber. In America, they talk 308. Same thing. But that is what they use in real situation. They get a 50 caliber. But if you see a 50 caliber rung, you can't believe the size. I had one as an ornament some years ago. I had one as an ornament. when I was in the force. I got rid of it now. But there is a big piece of thing, big wrong, shoot down plane and all thing fixed with the caliber. But so there's no longer any 303. Again, it has to do with whether it's rimmed or whether it's rimless. This is not the time for that. But if you all hold me down over little toops, maybe we can explain more. But let me continue with the same thing, Because the question is, what are the requirements for someone to own and operate a security company? Mr. Conway touched on it. Every time they can be Harry now, get a security company. I don't know if any proper background checks and all this type of thing are done. But coming back to the same thing with these guns, with what they call firearm, the guns, the airsoft stuff that they found. Among the things that they found is one shotgun. Now, if you have a security company as they're claiming, note, they didn't mention the name of the company, they didn't mention the owner of the company. Note, you have to note these things. They didn't mention the name of the company. They did not mention the name of the company. They tell you about some man from South and all, but I mentioned the name who owned this security company, which to me tells a story. But this man, they're claiming, operates a security company. And people are given shotgun with the serial number, find out. Shotgun with serial number, find out. This is a crime family we're talking about here. Because even if they have an illegal shotgun, which they should not have, but you'll be talking here now about a serial number. This is what the police say, that they found a shotgun. But shotgun is a firearm under the act. And when they talk about the bullpup, is a style they're talking about. So don't let your imagination run too well. It's the butt style, that is what it is referred to. It's a British butt style in this thing, a bullpup, right? British butt style. So you have a security company operating, as I said, they named the name, but this is a company, the people say issuing a shotgun without the number, which means it's an illegal firearm, which means there will be no record of it in the police that this company, in fact, is the legitimate owner of this shotgun. Some thieving gun, they must get some way, and they just file out the number and using it. I am saying here, let me jump in and say that they say they have arrested this man, and they haven't said nothing more. They haven't said anything else. This person should be charged. First of all, the license, if they have a license, the license should be suspended and revoked. Suspended and revoked. Let me understand that. I did that some years ago when I was Commander A Division. There was a particular company. When we checked, they had reported that they lost a firearm. Then we discovered that they were issuing their firearm to people who should not have been issued with firearm. Because if you have a security company, it's not all of your employees can carry a firearm. Before they can carry a firearm, they have to be made supernumerary constables. They have to be trained and made supernumerary constables and given the precept. Well, we did the investigation. Then we discovered 3 firearms could not have been accounted for. One man was working at Sapphire, and they said he dropped asleep and the firearm disappeared. When we checked the man's background, the man wasn't a supernumerary constable. Then they missed an next firearm. They used to operate out of Gimpex in Regent Street. And the story that they said is that they put the firearm somewhere and they accidentally dumped it in some garbage bin. And then the next man went across the river where he lived for lunch. So he put it under some firearm under some couch. And when he was ready, the firearm disappeared. My action, I caused all the firearms of that company to be seized, every single one. And I wrote to the owner for him to show cause why the license should not be revoked. And I can tell you this. I get calls left, right, and center. Left, right, and center. From a place in Robb Street. Left, right, and center, they call me. And I did not budge. Right? So, but I don't know, these people, what they gonna know. I did not budge. I was a commander. And the commissioner dare not call me to tell me about anything I do in the thing. I told them I reported at the meeting, and this is the action that I have taken. This is the action. And they're calling and they're running around. And I did not budge on that. So they get all sort of thing going on. And then the next thing, you got to investigate if this does not amount to some type of fraud. Why do I say that? This security company, no doubt, collecting money from the clients to provide armed security guards. Because you might know that somebody wants a guard, there's a different cost if the guard is an unarmed guard as against if the guard is an armed guard. So you got to pay more for armed guard. So there might very well be a question here where this company charging these people to providing an armed guard and sending people with tie gun, and therefore isn't that a fraud, or what they're gonna say something maybe private action? But to me, that amongst the fraud, because you're charging the people them to providing them with an armed guard, and you're sending them out with an airsoft gun, right? Airsoft gun you're sending the people them with, right? So all of these things need to be questioned. This Wild West nature of this security guard company. And here, let me say this. Let me think it in here. This is the same place where they're telling you this country is so safe. Crimes are down. President made a statement the other day, 10% or something, or 1% down in the past 10 years. Lowest crime in the past year. BS. And I'm going to deal with that on another episode. BS. Right? Oh, and they just can't think these things through, you know. Because you're sending a message. You're talking about when they opened this hotel on Ogle the other day, tourism, and you're talking about all of those type of things. Forget about the garbage that Ikin and the boys will clean up tomorrow. But when you walk around, people have said this to me, every business place you go to, supermarket, you go in supermarket, a man is there with a big gun. What impression does that give? You telling me that there's a safe place? Man with a big gun stand up there at the supermarket. And I say, not only a man with a big gun, untrained people with big guns, untrained. And they're going to come out, they're going to tell you all sorts of things. Let me remind you all that not so long ago, when Robeson Shooter Scoot Ben was Minister of Home Affairs, there were 2 incidents on the East Coast. One, where the guard went to the other guard and took an AR rifle from him, telling him that the supervisor sent him for it. And then he went and he unalived his girlfriend's sister. They were twins. His girlfriend and the other twin sister. He unalived. He killed one. Y'all remember that? Wonder what happened to the matter? Wonder what happened? And then there was another one on the East Coast where a youngster, I said, up to the other day, his parents was making some complaint and so on. Youngster walking at this place, some mechanic shop or somewhere. A guard is there with a shotgun, and the shotgun fire off and kill the young guard. And the people, the family had complained that if they are taking immediate action, the life might have been saved. And what happened? Nothing. We have an incident that we showed you some time ago, somewhere in Eccles. Security guard, busting shot in the air. The incident, busting. What happened to these things? Nothing happens. And the reason why nothing happens, because the owner in the main of these security companies are connected to these corrupt politicians. And then you have spineless police officers, spineless and seedless. They like them fancy grape. No seed, right? No seed. And all I say to you, if you are a seed, go by critic. Critic enough, you get more seed than balanja. You get more seed than baigan. You get more seed than eggplant. Go and get some. But they don't have the courage. And one of the reasons why they don't have the courage is because, too, they don't have the knowledge. So they don't know what if they're going to do right. What is the process to revoke fire? I left all of those documents there, you know. I designed a lot of those things. I left it there. How you go about revoking fire. I spoke about it here already. But security guards, the service in the country, Guyana, Wild West. Wild West. And let me tell you all this too. When Larry Lewis was commissioner, you had to always call Larry Lewis' name. And you apply for a security company, a license to get a security company. You have to say, well, you have to think with the uniform. And you have to get a model. One of your members had to come there dressed in the uniform that you were seeking approval for. And Larry Lewis, being as wicked as he was, used to make sure, first of all, outside of Larry Lewis wickedness, security companies' uniform cannot be close to the military or the police. It has to be distinct, right? It has to be distinct. So when they come before Larry Lewis and the admin, staff officer, I'm sure Ivor Whitaker, who listens to this program, he was a staff officer, can remember. They got to come, bring the post, they will bring it up to us at management meeting. Larry Lewis will look at you and the uniform, and Larry Lewis will say, put on a red pocket on this one side. Put on a blue pocket. Well, Larry Lewis done with them. You couldn't make any mistake. You can't as to whether they were security or not, right? You couldn't make a mistake. Larry Lewis used to dress them up nice, tell them, put a red pocket here, and then when he tell them, they have to then go adjust the uniform and come back. The uniform could not be close to the police or any military type of uniform. Now it's all sort of thing happening. All kind of things happen with the thing and the uniform. All kind of thing. But this matter with this airsoft, coming back as I try to round it up now. People have asked me to comment on it. I hope that I have addressed the issue to let you know that it is not lethal. Airsoft as a whole are not lethal. They are not considered firearm under the Firearm Act of Guyana 1605. Maybe now that you have this issue, you might want to amend the legislation to cater for all of that. Because as I've said, airsoft guns can be modified, but an airsoft gun off the shelf is not a lethal gun. It fires 6 mm, some little plastic thing and so on. It's war break. You're playing war and so on with it. Then from that, you get the BB. Where with the BB, practice, muscle memory, in case you all know it. So if you are a rifleman, if you are a marksman, you got to go. If you're a trained police officer or a trained security guard, you need to make sure that you understand the process. And it can be expensive and dangerous to do practice all the time with live rounds. Live rounds are expensive. So what you do? You get the same BB, you get the airsoft, and you practice with them. And then eventually you graduate to practice with either a 9mm or a 4.5 or so. But the airsoft, as you saw in these pictures, they look real. They are real. That is how they are designed. They look real. And except, as we said, for the place where they are properly regulated, where they have to have an orange muzzle, the ones that they found there without these muzzles, you don't know whether these things are good rail gun or not. You don't know. Because they look real. They are imitation. They look real, right? Right? They look real. Somebody said more seed than okra, especially them old hard okra, right? Old hard okra, right? So, yeah, they need to address it. And I would, back in the day, something like this came up over this weekend, right? We would have had a team. Larry Lewis didn't make a sport with that. Larry Lewis would have got a team. Any issue that came up, Carl, Henry Green, Winston Felix, Paul Slow, Mike Samasal, put out a paper. I want it by Monday, right? Dr. Luncheon wanted a paper by Monday, put up a paper on this issue. I used to sit down there, downstairs to ICAP's office, and burn it. They got computer and all them things, They got computer, calling some typists and then we banging away and we sharing ideas and so on. But now what happens? With all these graduates they get from the university, I don't know, they're not making use. I'm not blaming the graduates, but they're not making use of them to come up with all type of papers and studies and so on in an effort to move the force forward. Because the big weight, of course, in the force is the squatter they get there. He weighing down the force. And like they're sending me home. They're not sending me home. Well, let me say this before I move. Let me bring in CC to hear if he has anything to say on this issue. Because this issue I'm going to finish, Because let me understand what's going to happen. Apart from the shotgun, they're going to hustle and dance. And depending on who the man is and who are his contacts and who is the real owner of this company, because I have a strong suspicion The fact that they have not mentioned the name of the company, the principals might be well connected. Can't call the name of the company. Right? I get a shot. Well, I don't know if they're going to wriggle out from the shotgun story. Because the shotgun, especially a shotgun without serial number, that's serious thing. By Monday morning in my thing, it done gone to court. I didn't need any advice from the Director of Public Prosecutions for charge for unlawful possession of arms and ammunition. Don't need no advice. Right? Charge, pass through court. Maybe when you don't pass it through court, then the file would have been sent to the DPP for review. Right? So, but the issue in relation to the ASAF, you know what the thing is with that? I hear the dancing with the language, you don't get no license and no permit. Which law said they got to get permit? Which law up in Guyana says that they have to have permit to get the ASAF gun? How did those guns come into the country? These are all questions that have to be asked. How did they get into the country? Obviously, they didn't make them in Guyana. They didn't make them there. So they had to come in. Did they pass through the custom? Did custom clear them? Or were they smuggled in? All of these are questions that have to be asked and answered because this is a serious potential security issue. Because as I've said before, you walking down the road, you're in the shop, and a man come with a airsoft rifle and pointed at you. Buddy, you don't get no yellow muzzle, you believe it is real because these imitations look very, very real. See anything more you want to say on this issue?
Just to get back to the issue, that the issue of uniform, the wearing of uniform. Yes, I was there many times with Larry Lewis when he said, adjust here, adjust there. That they got to wear the prescribed uniform. The security not wearing uniform. And there are numerous breaches, including that would require the suspension or cancellation of the security license. And here was, according to Section 4, what could happen when a cancellation or suspension of service, the following shall apply. 1. The private security agency shall be ordered by the controlling officer to cease to provide security service. All firearms and ammunition shall be handed over to the Guyana Police Force. All clients shall be informed of the cancellation. All security personnel shall cease to wear uniforms. Upon suspension, all processing and training of all personnel must cease for the period of suspension. And here is one. Upon cancellation, all firearm license shall be revoked. Upon cancellation, the appointment of all supernumerary counsel shall be revoked. Upon cancellation, the company shall cease to use the uniform, logo, or badge. The thing is that the law is there. The Private Security Act is there. It's a serious act. And perhaps when I get violation, maybe things will come into play. Whereby you have these serious violations and you could be cancelled, your license could be cancelled, come up. Or your license could be suspended, come up. I think there's a playing out. We're playing out. That I'm surprised with this current matter here, that thing is going to happen, that people going to come up, that people, they're going to tackle them and say, yeah, boy, come up, you draw down, and the end of it. We ain't hear anything but it anymore. But we need to keep it on the front burner. We need to keep it on the front burner. Too much of goddamn corruption taking place. And the act is being violated which is being violated on a daily basis. We're saying the security service coming up, the mushrooming like zombie umbrella. And it's high time the police get involved and take action in relation to this Private Security Act, or much more will happen.
I almost talked to myself there just now. I said a student made the point that the when we said the thing at the start where the squatters had to go, say the man is an environmentalist, how you gonna send him? Well, there is the point. Re-employ him, man. Let him come and he can clean up. He looks good in cleaning up. Let him come and be in charge of cleaning up around the place, right? Cleaning up around, cleaning up, and then let him come and clean up, right? And then let me remind you all of an incident with the corruption in the old system and the process. Some time back, one of the security companies had given a on precept rank, a young boy, I think he was around 19, for work by Border Market. You see, I don't forget, that's what I don't like about me. And the young boy with a 9mm pistol playing with it, and a rung went off and hit a bystander, shoot the next boy, right? When the police started the investigation, it was discovered that the license to that security company was not in force. And Jackie Opel came to play. A retired senior police officer was the intermediary. And then they running crazy because he juke them. Right? So that is what is going on. That is what is going on. Yeah, share. We haven't done yet. We got at least 15 minutes more. Share, man. Share. Let me give you some good news. Today's the anniversary. Not good anniversary. January 16, 2025. 5 senior ranks of the Guyana Police Force walk out of the Georgetown Magistrate Court vindicated after the prosecution failed to provide any evidence linking the officers to fraud. Remember that? January, they themselves must remember. Maybe they themselves. Lorraine Saul, Marceline Washington, Frank Jackman Wilberg, Roxanne Griffith Adams, Cord Smith, right? They were charged. You see, these people are there, claim at all the falsified documents and all sort of thing. No case submission, the ranks walk free. That was so cool again. And the background to that, I would never ever forget some of these things, and I would never ever forgive some of these things, some of these people. I know y'all on the program, many of you are Christians, and you can say, well, the Bible says you must forgive and you must forget. Sorry, I ain't reading the part. I ain't forgiving, and I ain't gonna forget some of them. Right? Robeson Shooter Scoot then went to Parliament in 2021. I think it was the first budget presentation when this corrupt cabal came back into office. And he alleged that $300 million missing from the police finance office. That is what Robeson said. The records are there. I could call him. I get the facts and the record. He said so in Parliament. As a result, an investigation was launched. So cool. Launched an investigation. They went to the police finance office where they collect a whole set of vouchers and all this everything. In pursuit of this investigation, these ranks were charged. They are happy there. Know the system and know that these ranks did not violate any system. Sat back. Weak man, weak. Sat back and allowed, never represented his ranks. He was hoping to get commissioner and they dashed the shaft on him. They didn't even use the oil. They didn't even use the grease. They put it in the raw happy. In that process, they discovered that Conway and Slow were paid, and others were paid a stipend to revise the force standing order. And they used that to say that we committed fraud. They used that to charge us for committing fraud. And remember, they said too that the standing order that we did not do. Then later on, Brutus, the same Brutus said that the police force contracted with the university to review the standing order. That was since around 2021, 22. Nothing. They even quoted the amount of money that they had paid to the university. Nothing. It's how wicked the wicked. So today is the anniversary. The case was dismissed on January the 16th, 2025. And it might surprise you to know, and then again it might not, that some of these ranks since then have not been reinstated. Case dismissed against them. All criminal charges against them dismissed and then reinstate them. They get, in the case of Royston Andrews Jr., matter dismissed since I think the 27th of December 2023. 2 years passed, then reinstating him. And I would say this, let the Ethnic Relation Commission investigate if they want. All of those persons are of a particular ethnic group. Wonder if that is one of the reasons why. They're all of a particular ethnic group. And then they get off, in the court. They talk about rule of law. They like to talk, Nandalal in particular, like to talk about the rule of law. So why are they not reinstated? People that are suffering, half pay, A1 man driving, officer got to resort to driving taxi and all them type of thing. That is how wicked these people are. That is how wicked. And I'm sure CC would want to say something about that because it's out as a result of that, we ended up getting charged. CC and I got charged for conspiracies coming fraud along with others. And the courts found that there was not an iota of evidence. Not an iota of evidence to charge. CC, you want to say something quickly on that?
I remember when they arrested me. I remember when they called Happy for bail. I said, if you want me tomorrow morning, you can get me. Say, by this political, I can't do nothing. And one of our contacts called an office in Carmichael Street. And he said, the person we been on speaker, very senior man. And he said he's gonna call Karen Bosch and order Karen Bosch to send us some bail. And within 20 minutes, we were out of the bloody place. Within 20 minutes. Here's it. The commissioner or the person who performing the duties of commissioner can't send us on bail. Former senior retired police officer, but a civilian could send him on bail. Then the trial too, Also remember, 26 persons testify or cancel the evidence from the police finance office, commissioner's confidential registry, commissioner's secretary, Brutus, quartermaster store, finance office, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Finance, and the magistrate said not an iota of evidence. And the thing I like about her, she gave a written ruling right away. She gave a written ruling right away. She put them in writing what she was the ruling there. She's now a judge. We all suffer, and all because of politics. All because that we tell the president we're not promoting his men, we're not promoting incompetence and corruption.
Yeah, no, let me see. One of the students said here, I'm getting said that she said, Mr. Slow, the word of the Lord says that if you want him to forgive you, you must forgive your enemies. Well, madam, the word of the Lord says that as well. But I'm not in the mood at this time, a part of my life, for forgive me enemies. Let me understand this thing clearly. These enemies that I'm talking about, if I see them drowned in, I will throw a big rock for them to go down faster. I gotta be truthful, I gotta be honest and straightforward. I can't help it. I got to say our field. I'm not going to be hypocritical and say, oh, I'm going to be sorry. No, no, no. As I say, I go on my knees and I pray for them. I pray, right? So they want to see me on my knees. Yes, I get it on my knees. But when I go down, I'm praying for them. So we understand that. Let me understand. Now, I tell you, I'll share with you done. We got to talk a little bit about Caesar. Senior Superintendent Michel Caesar, the man who recently had his visa revoked by the U.S., his visa to the U.S. revoked. I am trying to find out. They're not getting no statement yet, apart from when they brackled the Home Affairs Minister, and the Home Affairs Minister said, well, yes, we are waiting, and we're going to wait. Waiting for Waiting for what? For the Americans tell you that this is a man that pulled in and questioned last year, and up to now, y'all didn't get no information as to why he was questioned. Jack Dio said he can put somebody said he can put up a report. What happened up to now? This report since May or sometime then last year. Where is Caesar, Michel Caesar, Senior Superintendent, the man in charge of the major crime unit of the Guyana Police Force? You want to tell me that the Commissioner of Police can't issue a statement to say, well, this is the position and so on? You want to tell me that? And you talk about transparency, you talk about professionalism. When you utter them words, transparency and professionalism, some zombie should come and box you upon your mouth for uttering words that you know not the meaning of. Zombie, not nobody can. You can't charge them when they come. Box you upon your mouth. But I understand. I want to know how I know that Caesar was, I think, 10 or 14 days leave. He was to travel to the U.S., right? And because I said the thing cloudy as to whether he travel, he get done. But I understand he ain't travel. Because I hear that the visa get revoked, so he ain't travel. The thing leaked to you, he can travel. And I understand that he has since applied for all vacation leave due to him. And I understand when they did the computation, it's 300 and something days vacation leave due to Detective Senior Superintendent Michel Caesar. 300 and something days, all year leave he's supposed to get. And that brought me to the point of, again, the incompetence in the police force. Our man can get 300 and something days leave. It is against the public service rules. And what they do, many of them, let them come and challenge and call the name. What they do, they accumulate this leave, they want to leave, and then they write to the government, and if they are favored, they get pay in lieu of leave. So let me say you get 3 months leave to go on, 4 months leave to go on. You write to them and say, look, you don't want to go on the leave, you want payment. So you will get 3 or 4 months salary and you continue to work. But that is against the principles and regulations in the public service. You are supposed to, and hear this, officers and inspectors and other ranks, listen to this carefully. This is this public service rules. You are supposed to apply for your vocation, your annualized vocation leave every year. Every year. Your annualized vocation leave cannot automatically roll over to the next year. You have to apply for it. And if the exigencies of the service are of such, they might say, well, look, we can defer it to the next year. Right? You defer it to the next year. Public service rules. If I remember correctly, and you got some public servants say, correct me if I'm wrong, you cannot defer more than 2 consecutive years. Public service rules. I get it. I can read it because I have the rule book somewhere. You're not allowed to defer more than 2 consecutive years. So if you defer this year into next year, when next year comes, you're supposed to go on your leave. But leave is something apart from the individual who gets an opportunity to recharge his batteries and so on, right? It allows for someone to act. It allowed for someone to act, to get exposure. It allows for someone to get a little small piece. But they want to go away. Why is it? I remember a man from a company, big company in Guyana. I used to walk on the seawall when I used to be in Guyana. Man from a big beverage company. And we were walking and something came up about leave. And I think I told him about some long leave. And he said, well, He said in his organization, right, anyone that he can afford to do without for that period of time, you need them. So if it is that you can go on all them enough leave, we need you. The company does not need you. That is what I will never forget that. We were in the vicinity of Conversation Tree there. Not Conversation Tree, Sheriff Road, Sheriff at the junction there, when he told me that. But vocation leave allows for the individual who's going to leave to relax, go out, relax, get some new ideas and so on. It also allows for someone to act in that position, especially when you're talking about senior people. Act, you get, apart from the payment, you get exposure. You get exposure. So when you run in a system where people are not going to leave, they sit down there. And many of them are going to leave because of the sweetness. I remember back in 2018, I think it was, 2018, 2019, something around then. A particular man, senior man, policeman, he was in his last year in the force. He take 2 weeks, come back when it's birthday time. He take an next thing, come back when it's Christmas time. That is what he's doing. Come back for perks. And they allowed that. They allowed that. Now, that wasn't this government, that was the other government, to be fair. They allowed that, right? Should not be. People should be made to go on the leave. In some companies, efficient companies, they have a roster. They have a roster that you go in there and you go in there, and the thing is well organized. But in the Ghana police force, because of the corruption and incompetence, they ain't got no roster. So then the next, maybe June, August month, so everybody want to go and leave at the same time, and then you have problems. But if it is organized, a proper HR section will make sure that this thing is properly scheduled. Who going to leave now? Who going? They're no long in advance. But of course, we know now they're going to leave. They have to spend them locally because enough of them dare not jump nowhere near a plane instead of going abroad. Not for them. Not even if they get, well, you're not going to get visa for go to some of the car companies. But they're frightened. They are afraid because of this thing called rendition. Right? They're afraid. They know what they did. And therefore, the list, the list that Gabby, years ago, Gabby the Bajan Calypsonian, in the days of AIDS, up to yesterday, I was exercising, I was listening to the list. Who got the list? This name on the list, that name on the list. The list of the people who got the AIDS. This is a list of the people who visa can take away. Who got the list? The list, right? But this vocational leave is a serious thing. It is a serious thing. And they get public service. They got a ministry now. What they call them? The Aidar Ali's son is the minister, efficiency or something like that. Yeah, those are the things that should look in. Those are the things that should look into. You get people there for months, years, and I go up and leave. When the time comes, they wanted it for. Roger Luncheon, when he was editor of the Presidential Secretariat, I remember that well, wrote a circular to all the ministries and police and so on, said, you must take your leave every year. If you don't take it, it will be forfeited. Luncheon wrote that memo. Still in effect, you have to take your leave. And I, as a senior officer, or if I am a government official, a minister, a president, a vice president, if I have senior people in my system who don't want to go and leave, I can become suspicious. I will become suspicious. Why is it this man want to go and leave? What happens if he drop down tomorrow, just come home? You want to tell me this man is so indispensable that he can't go and leave? No way. I have a proud record when it comes to leave. Proud record as a senior officer. Every year. At least, especially coming down to the bottom. Every year, like the last 10 or so, I take in all my vacation leave in 2 tranches. First half, I take, as a senior officer, entitled to 6 weeks. First half, I take a little 2. The second half, I take a little 4. And in many cases, sometimes I'm exercising during the last 4, and I got a little hamstring or I got a little knee injury, I got to stay. I am proud of that. Take me leave, check the record. Check the record. So when the time came for me to retire, it's just prorated leave. I had retired the 1st of August 2010. It's just the leave I was to get prorated up to the time. Enough, long leave. People ain't going on the leave. You got to be suspicious when you have senior people in positions who don't want to go on their leave. Now, let me, I'm bringing CC just to give his closing, but let me throw this one out before CC come back. I'm talking about the extradition case now. You know, the lawyers representing Azuddin Mohammed and his father moved to the High Court to challenge the constitutionality of the amendment to the Fugitive Offenders Act. That matter was heard during the course of this week by the acting Chief Justice. And he indicated, or it is stated that he is going to hand down a decision on the 2nd of February 2026. Well, bets are out. Got people in the crystal ball. When I come back Monday, I can tell you what the crystal ball says. Right? I look at it, and it already tell me what's going to happen. The acting Chief Justice is going to give a decision on the 2nd of August. That is to say, whether the or not the amendments to the Fugitive Offenders Act is legal or unconstitutional. The 2nd. I tell you all, read Juman Yassim. Read Juman Yassim's letter. The wicket, February, 2nd of February. The Juman Yassim said the wicket set. He didn't say it in that many words, but that is what he actually inferred, that the wicket is set. So let me see what can happen. Let me bring in CC for his closing, and then I'm going to give you all a look forward. CC, anything you want to say on the comments I've made on your closing, my brother? Go ahead.
Let me start with the leave. And remember every year, Paul Edmund Slow used to go on his leave. I know he used to strengthen the leave because we used to expect to hear he cannot travel by sea, land, or air. Can't travel by sea, land, or air. Now, I made a comment on the last episode about the influx of Spanish across the Takatu River. I said they go into Brazil and then they cross into Takatu in large numbers. I said on one night over 200 come across and they're still here. I'm happy to note that since then, there's a lot of police activities on the border, particularly at night. But the police, they are limited in terms of manpower and other resources. They need to seek assistance. They need to get support from central government, from Georgetown, because persons are still Spanish, are still crossing the Takatu. They're going to Brazil and they're using the Takatu straight on to let them, and they stay in there. So congratulations to the police at Lethem for initiating some action, but they need to do far better, and they need to get proper assistance from central authority.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. If I misspoke and I said, let me repeat, or let me clarify that the case, the Chief Justice is set to rule on the 2nd of February. 2nd of February. There's a thing about 2-3 weeks from now. That is when he's going to rule. Now, folks, we've had a long afternoon. Again, I got to wish you a peaceful and restful weekend, including those who got to go and clean up tomorrow. Those who got to go and clean tomorrow, they're going to get a little breakfast. And then you're going to take your time in from your boss, the commissioner. Let me watch to see if you can get the rake, because, the man look very, very proficient in raking up things on the seawall and so on. We have so much more that we have to tell you. Everything can be done in one episode. This is an extended episode, really. And we're going to come again, God's Spirit Life, on Monday. And we know Monday is 11 o'clock in the morning. That's 11 Eastern Standard Time. That's 12 o'clock, 12 noon Ghana time. Again, I got to compliment you students on your attendance this Friday afternoon. Friday afternoons are special. You could have been doing all kind of things, right? But you chose to sit and to listen, and therefore we appreciate that. And I say again to the student who said, who talk about the short, the edited pieces, just deal with specific topics. I will endeavor to post more of those so that you can sit and you can listen to specific topics rather than having to go through the own episodes to find a part that you want to hear and so on. So that is what it is to the weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend. I know, Ron, and these times for the longest while, I didn't give you all your therapy and so on. Let me see. Yeah, I get a little time. You want your therapy. Let me see. Let me give you your therapy. Long you don't get it, you do it.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
Yes, he's a friend of ours. I give your therapy, man. No, long you don't get it. Long you have not had your therapy, and therefore I can't do you that. And by the way, what happened to this yesterday? What is called Thursday press conference? Was there one yesterday? I don't know. Yeah, let me know if there was one yesterday. It looked like the vice president is no longer there every Thursday. I think sometimes you say they're preparing budget. But we're going to talk about budget and so on later. Time run out because I saw in the media the Speaker of the National Assembly there in India. He's there in India. So going to India is more important than ensuring that the democratic process in Guyana moves forward. And I noted too that many of the agencies and embassies are now speaking out, not exposing corruption and incompetence, speaking out about the lack of the meeting to elect the leader of the opposition. So we got to watch and see what's going on, man. We got to look and see what's going on. And all I say to you, again, be safe over this weekend. Be safe always. But given all this going on, I implore you to be safe. And God's Spirit Life will meet again on Monday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. That's 12 o'clock Guyana time for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.
Up comes Boslow and Mr. Clinton. Can't wait. Speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Boslow and Conway to say. Whole day we are calling for Boslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they get, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Oh. Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Paul Slow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far. And every Guyanese will feel well. Oh, yes. Yeah.
money they invest, 2.4 billion of our money. That money could have been invested someplace. They have to
Right issues.